This is the Intentional Human Podcast, and I am your host, Adrian, and my personal life mission is to optimize the human experience one story at a time. Welcome to another episode of the Intentional Human Podcast, and I am your host, Adrian Cavada. In today's episode, we're going to talk about awareness today. It kind of touches on the previous episode with Mark, actually, and really going a little bit deeper in terms of like how do we understand awareness, how do we actually build awareness, right, in our lives. I think a lot of times we hear this thing awareness, and it's kind of like an abstract thought and not too tangible. But before I get into that, I actually wanted to start us off with another poem today. It's called The Gangster and the Guru. I think it definitely ties into this concept of awareness, especially how like I'm connected to the story as well. Hope you enjoy it. We all choose the paths we walk. We all live the life we live. At times, it's like it's written. At times, it's like we write it ourselves. Perhaps we're destined to ponder this question. But maybe it's a lesson. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a blessing. But maybe it's a lesson. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a blessing. Woke up to the sounds of bullets flying by. Woke up to the sounds of the birds chirping as they fly by. Adrenaline high to the sky. Caught the bullet flying by. Life led to this moment. Lead pierced the flesh. Thought death was sleeping in my bed. A life with unfortunate things led me here to feel this pain. But I gotta stay strong. It's me against the world. It's only me that fills my world. Running I empty as I neglect sleep. I'm the true one. Call me the black sheep. Fuck a fake, they lead you straight to the grave. Can't see through the smoke and mirrors. Dead people follow me and they whisper in my ear and fill me with so much fear. Mind is blind, nothing is clear, but I stick with what I know. The devil already leased my soul, so I do what I gotta do to play my role. Got that thing on me, ready to blow. Not sure if it's the next food that crosses me, or if it's me that's gonna end up the John Doe. But if I die, I guess my fam cuts their losses. Gotta do something to dedicate myself to the game, so my heart still pulses. So I make decisions tied to my impulses. I ride till I die. Anxiety is my life, and I choose it because it's what I know. And before I was born, the devil already leased my soul. So as I grew up, I knew I had to do what I had to do to play my role. And I think to myself, is this life that I live written, or am I the one writing it myself? Perhaps we're destined to ponder this question. But maybe it's a lesson. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a blessing. But maybe it's a lesson. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a blessing. Woke up to the sounds of the birds chirping as they fly by. Woke up to the sounds of bullets flying by. Adrenaline high to the sky. I'm scared that I'm gonna die. Life led to this moment. Felt the pain of 1,000 souls as they all screamed to be relieved of their pain, as I screamed to be relieved from mine. Thought death was sleeping in my bed. A life with unfortunate things led me here to feel this pain. But I gotta stay strong. It's me against the world, and it's only me that fills my world. Running I empty because I can't sleep. I'm the true one. Face stay ready to make the leap. Fuck a snake, they destroyed the garden. Can't see past myself, so my defenses they harden. Lost souls follow me and they whisper in my ear and fill me with so much fear. Mind is blind, nothing is clear, but I stick with what I know. The devil wants power over my soul, so I do what I gotta do to play my role. Got that thing on me, ready to blow. Not sure it's the devil or my mind that's gonna go. And if I die, the pain will be real for the fam as I go. Gotta do something, so dedicate myself to the game, so my heart still pulses. So I make decisions tied to my impulses. I'm the ultimate ride or die. There's more to life, and I choose it because there's more life and learning to live and grow. And before I was born, the devil wanted power over my soul. So as I grew up, I knew I had to do what I had to do to play my role. And I think to myself, is this life that I live written, or am I the one writing it myself? Perhaps we're destined to ponder this question. But maybe it's a lesson. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a blessing. But maybe it's a lesson. Maybe I'm guessing. Maybe it's depression. Maybe it's a blessing. Thank you for listening to that poem. I definitely appreciate your patience. And yeah, just kind of going right into the episode, really talking about awareness. And honestly, I was really thinking about that right before I even started recording this episode, just because, like, what is awareness? How do we even conceptualize this idea or this abstract thought or abstract concept, right, of what awareness is? And something kind of struck me when I was just like in this, I guess, this train of thought, right? And what came to me really was just, you can't really explain it with words. Yeah, we can say, hey, be more aware of your surroundings, be aware of this, be aware of that, be aware of your emotions. But we can't really, like, at least like I haven't yet. So if anyone does know how to really explain it through words, let me know. But what awareness really is just the sensations that you get in the moment. That's the best way I can describe it. Just the sensations you get right in the moment. And to kind of even challenge you in the sense of like what you were just listening to with the poem, when you're listening to music, when you're listening to poetry, or you're looking at a piece of art, whatever it is, like whatever piece of art that is, it's moving you, right? And what it's actually calling you to do is to be self-aware. Like, what is it? What are these emotions being brought up to the surface just from me seeing this thing or hearing this thing right in front of me, right? And when we get into this state of awareness, like when these emotions come up, a lot of times, at least for me personally, at least from my past, like I would get scared of these emotions because I don't know what they are, and let alone my nervous system doesn't know what it is. So, we're kind of just like stuck. We're like, what do we feel? Like we get anxious, or we're trying to like depress ourselves in terms of like taking depressants of some sort, whether it's pills, whether it's alcohol, whatever it is, right? Really depends on the person and whatever they use for advice. But when it comes to awareness, when we're literally like listening in, even to like my voice as I'm speaking, things are coming up for you in your own unique and special way. And honestly, that's the best way I can really describe awareness, like whatever you're experiencing in the moment and you're just being aware of it. So, and I guess the real question is like, how do we do it intentionally? How do we build that state of awareness? Because as we go about our lives, we kind of go back into this like autopilot mode, whether that's running a family, whether that's starting your career or developing your career, whatever that the case may be. So when we're in these states of just going through the motions, how do we build it? And honestly, like I said earlier, it's really about kind of checking in with yourself. Like, what am I feeling right now? Even legit asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? And to kind of give you, like, I guess, some more formal, not formal, but a bit more practical exercises. For one, this is a journal, right? If you're not watching the video, I'm holding my journal in my hand, and this is my personal journal. So the first thing in the morning, I go straight to it and write down like my initial thoughts of the day, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, whether it's somewhere in between, just to really see where my state of mind is in the beginning of the day. And kind of helps me get a better grasp of how like the quality of sleep that I had, the quality of day I had the day before, or even my current routines that I'm doing. I get a better picture of what's happening in my life. Another thing too, especially if you're multi-passionate, or if you're developing a side business or developing a career for yourself in terms of entrepreneurship, having a personal journal, also having some form of like professional journal is also very crucial. It definitely helps split up the two worlds, because I think a lot of times they mesh together, and whatever's happening in our personal life may affect our professional life and vice versa. So we have two separate journals, or at least two separate worlds we can really like be ourselves in terms of being intentional about what we're thinking about and what we're creating. We can have a better separation, right? And to kind of give you some, I guess, some insight of what I write, I typically start off with what time is it? So it kind of puts me into where I was in that moment, right? For this particular day, let's say, I'm going to do memo number 5. So this one I started at 9:28 a.m. It was sunny. It was a Monday, and the location that I was at home. I was also on the road as well. And I had actually gone to one of my friends, Chris's house, to actually probably talk about editing the podcast or talking about beats or something like that. I forgot exactly what the day was, but anyways, it puts me back into that moment, right? So my intention for that day was to create a structure and flow for myself and for those that I serve, right? For my clients, for whoever's following me on social media, to possibly you, like the work that I did this day actually bled into, fast forward now, like the structure that I have, the state of flow that I have to really help me create these podcasts, help me create the content that I'm creating. And then I go about, how do you plan on doing this? So I get more in this action oriented mindset. All right, like how do I actually plan on, creating structure and flow in my day or in myself, right? And what I put down was, I plan on doing this by doing the things that I love. So putting myself in a state of like, I love what I'm doing. I'm in a state of passion, I'm in a state of flow, right? And through creating music, connecting with other people, sharing my world without hesitation. So I'm pretty much setting myself actual tasks that I can actually work towards, right? Actually, that day we created a song. Later that day, I was out at a Lacuna, just like connecting with random people, and yeah, I was just sharing my world a little bit more that day than normal. And then I asked myself, how are you feeling right now? And it kind of snaps me back into the moment. All right, like these are things that I want to do for the day. This is my intention. This is like my sense of structure for a plan. But what else is happening within me to understand what else may be either like coming up to the surface or some things I may be neglecting, right? At the end of the day, the journal entries, really for me and whoever else does journal entries, or if you're looking or thinking about getting into journal entries, the journal entry is literally for you. So you can't really lie to yourself. Well, you can, but it doesn't always work out. But so I go into, how are you feeling right now, right? And at that moment in my life, I feel like I am on a journey. I feel a bit nauseous and ungrounded. I feel tired. I feel inspired. I feel creative. And so I was pretty much just kind of like pulling in what was snapping into my awareness, because I asked myself that question: how are you feeling right now? And whatever came up, like I just wrote it down. And the more that I wrote it down, like, all right, I understand that. Okay, I can see myself. I feel that I'm on a journey of some sort. I can imagine myself, right, I'm on a hiking trip or something like that. I feel a bit nauseous. Okay, maybe I haven't been drinking enough water. And feeling a bit ungrounded. Maybe I haven't been eating, or maybe whatever I'm doing in my self-care routine may not be helping at that moment. I feel tired. I feel inspired. I feel creative, but also it kind of highlights the other part of my mind or my emotional state, that I'm also determined. Even though I'm feeling a bit off, like physically, but spiritually and mentally, I'm ready to get the job done, essentially. And then I snap myself into more action, right? So what are some actionable things that I will do today to work with my feelings, or work with my emotions? And something that I wrote for that day is to take a deep, full belly breath and give myself a 3, 2, 1, go, and get myself unstuck. So pretty much with that, especially for that day, like I was definitely a little bit off. And just with the reminder, like I know I have a reminder that I told myself to remind myself when I'm in these moments of feeling stuck, right? I'm gonna take a full belly breath in, and I just breathe it all out. And I tell myself 3, 2, 1, go. And it kind of snaps me back into that mindset. All right, I'm on this journey. I'm working. I'm here. I am now. I'm doing this, right? Instead of being lost in my head and being lost in thought and being lost in whatever chaos that I'm creating in my head. And the last thing of this particular journal, I asked myself, what did you learn about yourself today? And this is pretty much the very last thing that I visit before I pretty much end my workday or before I go to bed, depending on the day, really. And for this particular day, when I set tangible goals for myself, I don't feel as lost. Set goals always. And honestly, like at least for me, for that particular day, and also just moving forward, it really helped solidify some things for myself, especially because I'm busy doing things. I'm working on multiple projects. Like it can get a lot in terms of managing everything just in my head. So it's a good reminder for myself just to check in. Like, all right, what did you actually learn, dude? Like, yeah, you did all these different things, but are you learning? Like, are you actually learning? And by asking myself, what did you learn? It pretty much puts me in the state of, right, growth. All right, what did I learn? What didn't I learn? And the more that I'm able to think about myself in this light, right, instead of judgment, but more out of curiosity, and also kind of similar when you're wanting to help a person, right? You want to better understand their situation. So throughout that entire journal entry, it helps me better understand myself. And that's another way to build awareness. And also another cool way, this is my kalimba or karimba. I kind of get the words mixed up sometimes. But pretty much anything that's like sensory also helps us get back into awareness. Like, for example, I'm just going to stop talking and just play this piano for you for a little bit. So, again, just using your senses really helps us get into um, not a better state of awareness, but into a higher state of awareness. At least from my personal perspective, when I get lost in my emotions or lost in thought and I start feeling anxious, even to the brink of a panic attack, it's really like, what am I refusing to feel right now in the moment? And by even just having something similar to this, or even a fidget spinner, whatever it is, but giving yourself an outlet, whether it's like the poetry, right? That's another form of outlet. It really helps us get back into the moment. Again, we can literally snap ourselves out of this chaotic train of thought, this chaotic loop, or whatever pattern that we may be repeating, right? And when we do these things, when we take care of ourselves, we actually build um, those physical neural pathways in our brain to pretty much direct us or put us more in that state of, quote unquote, health. Because before, like, at least by definition, if you're constantly repeating the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result, it is insanity. The more that we're trying to, get a different result by doing the same thing, it is insanity. So how do we break ourselves out that loop? Again, it's by building awareness. And you can do it through the journal stuff. You can do it through playing music, poetry. But another thing, too, that may help you conceptualize what may be happening. So I'm actually going to switch over to my tablet real quick. One moment. All right. So we're on my tablet. So this thought or this concept came to me like a while back, actually, when I was doing social work. Oops. Yeah, when I was doing social work, I was working with this high functioning autistic kid. And a lot of times our conversations got really existential and deep, which is actually like one of my favorite conversations to have. So it got me thinking a lot, especially with what this kid was going through and how he was trying to cope with everything. And what this, I guess, concept was like, or what this concept was, is that we are this vessel, right? Oh, I'm gonna fix that. So we are this vessel. So what I drew right now is kind of like an orb with like a opening on top. So we are this vessel. This is the actual container that's within us. And we have different channels that allows us to express whatever this energy that's within us. At the end of the day, the energy that enters us comes, at least in my eyes, it kind of fuels us in the sense that it is our life force, right? And that swirl of energy that comes out or comes from the external environment, also whatever that we conjure within ourselves, all contributes to this state of flow that naturally happens when we're literally healthy, when we're like really focusing on ourselves, or when we're in pretty much a really good part in our lives. Like we're just feeling good, you know. We can healthily express all this energy that's being brought into us from, again, the external environment and whatever else that we're thinking of. And yeah, it's just a state of flow. And then next, you know, you're feeling, or you're feeling other people's orbs, and pretty much it's kind of like another form of generational passage of knowledge or generational passage of healing. But what happens, or at least what's been happening in a lot of our society since I don't know how long, because it's probably been going on for a while, we get passed down a lot of generational trauma. So these channels that we have that are naturally there get blocked. They get blocked. And sometimes these channels could be, you know, expressing happiness, expressing joy, expressing gratitude. And it kind of leaves us with these more primitive emotions. For example, say for this last channel that isn't closed, that isn't blocked, is just purely anger. So when the outside world starts interacting with us and we're literally filling up our orb with a bunch of different energies, you know, it's going inside of us, and whatever other thoughts that we're creating within us, it's starting to get very chaotic because all this energy is being pent up. Maybe a little bit spouts there, but eventually it has to go somewhere. And then a lot of times it just bursts, and it's like anger, can be depression, anxiety. It's just like a lot of chaos starts happening, right? Just because we only have one outlet. All of it's just coming out. And next you know, it's just becoming worse and worse and worse. And we're feeling lost in life. So the next question is just like, how do we go about making sure that doesn't happen? And to kind of tie it back to the beginning of this episode, poetry. You know, at least for me, poetry really helped with unblocking a lot of these channels, because I can experience my sadness in a healthy way. I can experience my rage and my anger in a healthy way. I can experience my joy, my love for life in a healthy way, gratitude in a healthy way, so on and so forth, right? And also having different channels such as a support group, people that are open-minded and not quick to judge you, right? Mainly just making sure you're not quick to judge yourself because you're feeling these emotions. So, there we go. So, when we start unclogging these channels, we start unclogging or unblocking all these channels. When we start interacting with the outside world, start interacting with ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, even though before we were stuck in this chaotic expression of our energy, right? We can build awareness of what's happening. If I'm always feeling anger, you can really figure out, like, why are you so angry? Legit asking yourself a question, especially from a place of curiosity, not a place of judgment. And you ask yourself, why am I so angry? Or why am I so scared? Why am I feeling anxious right now? You know, it still can be a bit challenging in the beginning, but the more that you ask yourself questions of like, all right, like, especially from a curious and genuine place, you can figure out what's happening. And if you use the different outlets such as journaling, you know, writing it down and literally getting it out of your system. And we go back to this whole analogy of this orb with these different channels. You have journaling, right? So healthy self-expression, poetry or making music or some form of art. Another form of healthy expression. Going to therapy. Another form of healthy expression. Hiring a coach. And actually doing actionable things to healthily express whatever's happening, whether it's physical activity, nutrition, mindset exercises, spiritual exercises, whatever the case may be, and so on and so forth. Then we can get into the state of flow again, even though we've been so used to a state of chaos. We can remind ourselves of what we felt like before before we interacted with the world, before we took on pretty much the bullshit that is given to us in life. And now that we have these different healthy outlets, journaling, some form of art, some form of healthy self-expression, whether that's self-talk, talking to friends or loved ones, whatever the case may be, like having these different sources of healthy outlets, we start inspiring other people. We start pouring into their orbs, into their cups with this new high vibrating energy, right? And something that I learned throughout my own journey, as we heal the world around us, as a byproduct, we heal ourselves. At the end of the day, kind of tying back into this topic of awareness, when we look at another person, like you right now, as you listen to my voice, as you see me through this video, you're seeing yourself in some light, right? I am reflecting a legit, actual picture of yourself. Whatever thought that's happening in your head, whatever judgment that you may have about whatever I'm talking about, whatever disagreements, whatever agreements, whatever it is that what's happening in your body and in your head right now in this current moment is awareness. Believe it or not. The next step when you feel that state of awareness of like, all right, I am experiencing these emotions, is to get it out of you so you can work with them. It's kind of like changing or turning the intangible thoughts and intangible feelings into tangible things that we can actually hold, mold, and create something new. Again, the more that we listen, right, not so much to respond or anything like that, but the more that we listen just to listen, to really just receive what people are telling us, what our friends are telling us, what the world's telling us, what society's telling us, what we're telling ourselves pretty much. The more that we get to know ourselves, the more awareness that we build about ourselves. Because we can see ourselves in different light. And the more that we see ourselves in different light, we get that bigger picture of the true value, the true worth, the true sense of ourselves. By just seeing ourselves pretty much in everyone. Like everyone's going through something. Everyone has a story. Everyone has this, everyone has that. It's also important to make sure that you acknowledge that you have one too. And to build awareness around that story. Because you're the only one that really knows what it's like to be you. And if you feel like you don't know who you are, again, I challenge you to write something down right now. I challenge you to even start like a daily, weekly, monthly journal, whatever that is. Just do something so you can fully see yourself as the true, beautiful human person, the true you, right? Just do it for yourself. And if you need further help, I'm here. You can reach out to me. I can help you find someone that could help you if I can't help you. But at the end of the day, is to make sure that you want the help for yourself. Again, build the awareness. Take care of yourself. And live your truth. With that being said, I appreciate you for listening. And I'll talk to you later. Bye. Thank you for joining in on today's episode. If you enjoyed this, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. They be saying I have my head in the clouds because I don't share the same views. I say just look up and see the beauty all around you, and you'll see the same truth.